Hello, and welcome to the CFA Society San Francisco podcast, where we interview and discuss current topics with leading members of the Bay Area investment community. This week, Tanya Suba-Tang, membership manager with CFA Society San Francisco, sits down with Emi Yoshikawa, CFA, VP of Corporate Strategy and Operations at Ripple, to discuss the emerging blockchain crypto market and transitioning into the industry.
Hi, Emi. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Tanya. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to get our conversation going. I know it's going to be great. But before I do, I have to congratulate you for being honored at this year's San Francisco Business Times 100 Most Influential Women in Business. How does it make you feel to receive such an honor knowing that you are among other inspiring women?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I definitely feel honored and humbled to receive this award and be among such a great group of women. It particularly means a lot to me as somebody who was born and raised outside the United States and came to the US when I was 24 years old with the determination to really establish my career in the United States. So being recognized by the local business community really means a lot to me.
Well, I really want to jump in and kind of have our listeners learn a lot more about you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you became the VP of Corporate Strategy and Operations at Ripple? And for those not familiar with Ripple, tell us a little bit more about the company.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So as you mentioned, I currently work for a company called Ripple. Ripple is a crypto company, and we do a number of things in this space, but we are most well known for our solution to solve problems in cross-border payments by leveraging blockchain technology. And we provide a global payments network called RippleNet that is used by hundreds of financial institutions today. And that enables real-time settlements that's much more efficient, more transparent. So how I got here is really a journey. In the early part of my career, I worked for MSCI, which is the leading provider of indices and investment decision tools. And as a product manager, I developed the risk and the portfolio management analytics for institutional investors. So I worked very closely with asset owners and asset managers to help them make well-informed investment decisions. And when the 2008 financial crisis happened, I was literally working on the Wall Street, and I witnessed the collapse of the financial markets. And that was really a formative experience. And that really made me realize that today's financial infrastructure have a lot of fundamental problems and is not really sustainable. And back then, there were a lot of kind of regulatory, based solutions, but I felt that there must be some technology-based solution to that problem. But at that time, that was not clear. What the solution, could be was not really clear. And with that in mind, I decided to go back to school. So I studied at the Harvard Business School, and I decided to focus on emerging technology because I had a strong conviction that the next decade was going to be a decade of technology innovation. So I cross-registered with the engineering school of Harvard, and I kind of explored many different interesting technologies. And somewhere around there, I ran into the concept of Bitcoin and blockchain for the first time, and I just immediately got fascinated. This idea of a decentralized currency that is not backed by any governments, that's a very unique and novel idea at that time. And I was just super fascinated. But it was very, very early days. So of course, there was no job market for MBAs in the blockchain industry at that time. And so after I graduated from business school, I decided to come to Silicon Valley. And I worked for a tech startup, and I ran my own consulting business as well. But somewhere around 2015, 2016, I started to see the emergence of enterprise blockchain and movement. And Ripple was really at the forefront of the movement. So Ripple was trying to apply the blockchain technology to really solve that fundamental problem that existed in the financial infrastructure. So when I joined, I managed the joint venture partnerships and other BD stuff. And then about a year ago, I now kind of expanded my scope to also cover corporate strategy and the business operations. But that was such a journey, and I'm so glad that I jumped into this industry in 2016. and was able to see the whole evolution of this in the industry. That has been just fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, from 2016 to now, but, this whole concept has been since 2008 maybe, or earlier. So even though there was been an 8-year gap, you still kind of approached it very much in the early days. So that's amazing how you kind of had that, projection or, your premonition. I don't know what you want to call it, of knowing that this is going to be something big.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to take it back a little bit because you kind of said something really interesting, that you actually were not born and raised in the United States. You were actually born and raised in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And the most interesting thing about that takeaway for me is that you actually established your career there. You were 24 years old when you decided to move to the United States. And I have to ask, what was your motivation to decide to uproot your life and make such a big move early on in your career?
Yeah. So, I think growing up in Japan, there was always this stereotype that men work outside, but women stay at home, right? And it was really difficult for me to find a role model around me who is thriving in her career, but also doing well in her private life. But as a teenager, I really enjoyed watching American movies and dramas. And I saw American women were kind of, I felt that they were so much more liberated and have access to more opportunities. And, of course, in the US, we still talk about gender diversity issues that still exist, but then still the situation was much better than Japan. So, as a teenager, growing up watching American movies and drama, I felt like, okay, this is a country that I really want to establish my career. And I felt that I could really unleash my potential there. So after I graduated from my college in Japan, I decided that I will try to go to the US as soon as possible. So I joined the American company in Tokyo. And as soon as I joined the company, I told my boss that my goal is to move to US and start working there. And, but then I also still have to prove myself, right? So, in addition to working really hard at work, I decided to take CFA exams because that's the most well-recognized financial certificate. And also I can build a very strong foundation in those financial disciplinary areas. So I took, level 1 and level 2 exams in Japan. And, I proved that, by passing those exams, I can do well. And then, my boss, let me move to US. And then I also took level 3 while I was, in my first or second year in the US as well. But, I'm so glad that, the company at that time gave me the opportunity to move to US. And now here I am.
Well, I think you made obviously the right choice. You're talking here with me and you, in your position and working with Ripple, that's pretty amazing. I hope, is that everything that you kind of envisioned for yourself, or is this more than what you thought you were going to accomplish?
Yeah, well, not really. I didn't really imagine that when I first landed in the US, I didn't know where, I would be heading, but then I just followed my passion and interest along the way. And then, I'm just happy where I am today. And this blockchain industry is really keeping me occupied and continue to be fascinated by this progress of this industry.
So what about the blockchain cryptocurrency that really piqued your interest? And when in your career did that interest kind of reveal itself? I know you said it was early on, but then you had that kind of knowing that this was an emerging market. When did that kind of come up for you?
Yes. So I think there are a couple of things looking back. I think first of all, I was really inspired by this democratization nature of crypto and blockchain. Because crypto is an open system, anybody can participate in the ecosystem without anybody else's permission. So that has a huge implications for financial inclusion, and also that can open up a lot of new business opportunities and new business models. Right? So this kind of massive potential, that was something that made me very, very interested in this industry. And then second thing is a little bit more personal. When I was fascinated by crypto, I fell down the rabbit hole of crypto, as many people do. And I was playing and experimenting with the crypto, and particularly when I, sent like XRP digital assets. That's the kind of digital asset that Ripple used for cross-border payments. I moved to XRP from one wallet to the other, and literally the settlement happened in a matter of a few seconds. And that kind of wow experience was, very strong. And then that made me, it was almost an impulse that, I have to get into this space. This is a technology that will change the world. And I kind of started researching and found Ripple, and then, then the rest goes on. But I think, so the early discovery of Bitcoin was like early, maybe 2011, 2012. But then I think, it was around 2015 or so, like I really immersed myself and then literally used crypto and then get my hands dirty and then experience it. And then that was a kind of wow moment for me. And then that made me, I couldn't help but just getting into this industry at that time.
So we know that this is definitely a big emerging market. I think you would be living under a rock if, you have not heard of cryptocurrency and blockchain. There was actually an article, interview that was done by LinkedIn saying that they saw a U.S. job posting with terms like crypto and blockchain grew up to 615% in August from last year. So it's definitely coming up and definitely emerging. What advice would you give someone interested in entering the blockchain crypto industry? Because obviously now more major banks are looking for talent. What talent would someone like, say, Ripple be looking for? And does having a background in data science essential in kind of breaking into that industry?
Yeah, I think I know a lot of people are really interested in getting into the crypto and blockchain industry, but I think many people tend to think that in order to get into this industry, you have to be super technical. But and of course, there are technical jobs, but that's not everything. And this is a whole new industry, and we need a talent of diverse backgrounds and skill sets. So, for example, like we need very talented marketer who can translate very complex concepts into something very easy to understand and digestible. We need people with a policy background who really understand the traditional finance policy and then translate that into crypto as well. And then we also need a bunch of people from the traditional financial sector, banking sector, because they do understand the problems that exist in today's financial infrastructure. And also they speak the language of our customer, right? So, I think there's a bit of a misconception. You have to be super technical, but it's not necessarily the case. And of course, you have to have kind of baseline knowledge. But what you can really bring to the table, in addition to the blockchain foundation, is more important. And I hope that people really focus on that aspect. And I think women tend to feel that they need to kind of check all the boxes before jumping into a new industry. So I really highly encourage them to jump in, even before they feel they are ready, because once you're in the industry, there are so many things that you can learn on the job, and being in the industry first is really important.
I remember the conversation you and I had, because you were also, correct me if I'm wrong, were recognized as one of the 50 women in Fintech. And you told me something really interesting on how you got discovered. I mean, if you could please share that with us, how you were going through social media, right?
Yes. So, I was selected as one of the top 50, influencers in the Fintech. And I, when I try to educate myself about crypto and blockchain, actually one of the most effective way to do so is to have kind of presence on social media, interact with people. That's really the best source of latest information and thinking. It's not a textbook or some long articles or white paper, but then what's kind of newest and latest is really always on the social media. So I think, I was really active on social media, and I think that was one of the reasons why I was kind of featured as one of the top fintech women. I think generally speaking, this gender diversity is really important, and I really want more women to join this industry. Because blockchain and crypto is I think this technology really forms a social fabric, and it's kind of creating the foundation for the new society in the future. And we need people of diverse backgrounds and different perspectives now, before it's too late, and so that this new kind of newly formed society takes into account all different values and perspectives of the different constituents.
So we know this is emerging. You mentioned that more than once already in this conversation. What, looking ahead, what potentials in the blockchain and crypto industry are you most excited about?
Yeah, there are a lot of things, but I think I'm particularly excited about this realization of the Internet of Value. That's actually the mission statement of Ripple as a company. Basically what this means is that, so the first revolution of the Internet was really about Internet of Data, meaning that the data can move instantaneously, freely, and you can send the data to anybody because of the internet. And as a result, a whole new business models and opportunities were developed, right? Like social media, right? Hiring businesses and all sorts of things. Now we are really getting into the second revolution of internet, and that is the Internet of Value. And that means what that means is that now we will be able to move value just like information moves freely. Because of the blockchain being the key technology enabler. So I think that this era of Internet value, this will create a whole new kind of business opportunities and new business models again, just like the first revolution of Internet did. So that's the kind of aspect that I'm interested in. So blockchain is really an infrastructure technology. And on top of that, there will be many, many new businesses and business models popping up over the next decades or so.
Speaking of businesses, why do you think it's important for companies like Ripple to exist, especially now?
Yeah. So I think sometimes we are called as a disruptor in this industry, but we don't necessarily view us as a disruptor, but we see ourselves as more of an enabler, because instead of becoming a competitor to incumbents in the financial industry, we work with the incumbent companies to help them take advantage of new technologies like blockchain. And early on, we decided that we become a technology infrastructure company and then technology enabler company rather than competing with the existing financial institution, because still like majority of money today sits in the traditional financial institutions. And the biggest impact that we can make is really to help them to realize that and leverage the new technology. So that's kind of how we decide to position ourselves. And also another point why I think Ripple is making a big impact and why I think it's really important for a company like us to exist is that we are seeing this as really a whole new ecosystem and a society, not just a narrow definition of technology, but we have to build ecosystem of stakeholders. So we work with universities. We have a research collaboration program called UBRI. We also work very closely with policymakers and regulators around the world. We work with, of course, tech communities, entrepreneurs, and also traditional financial services. So really getting to work, having the opportunity to work with a wide range of constituents and stakeholders, that's really important, particularly in this early stage. And I think Ripple has been doing a great job in that aspect.
Ripple also, correct me if I'm wrong, you sat on the board of director seat on it, and it was a company that Ripple had held. Forgive me.
I think you're talking about MoneyTap, right?
Yes, MoneyTap. Tell us a little bit more about MoneyTap and what the goal is for that organization.
Yes. Yeah. So MoneyTap is a Japanese fintech company, and they're trying to disrupt the payments space in Japan for both domestic payments, but also cross-border payments. And we decided to partner with each other several years ago. So MoneyTap now uses Ripple's technology as a infrastructure technology and applying that for both domestic and cross-border payments. And earlier this year, Ripple decided to invest in MoneyTap. So through that, I became a board member of MoneyTap. And it's been, like different countries have different challenges, but particularly in Japan, the domestic payments infrastructure has had a lot of limitations and problems. And I believe that this, blockchain technology has a huge potential in upgrading the infrastructure.
I was going to ask what are some kind of difference you found of it kind of, here in the US versus somewhere overseas, and kind of what, if the challenges were the same or if they were different. I was just kind of curious to see.
Yeah, I would say the payments industry globally is has been dominated by several large global banks, particularly in the FX and liquidity space. Mm-hmm. So as a result, some of the emerging markets, particularly Southeast Asia, Middle East, they were kind of the victim of this monopoly in the global financial markets. And so as a result, financial institutions in those emerging markets are actually more eager to utilize blockchain technology. So actually on the RepoNet, we are seeing a lot of growth momentum in Southeast Asia, Middle East, and because they are now empowered. And basically, it's a democratization, right? They don't have to go through Western big financial giants, but they can use blockchain to facilitate payments directly without much fewer intermediaries, no intermediaries. So yeah, it's interesting to see those regional differences.
So now, you talked about it kind of going globally, the whole blockchain technology. Is blockchain becoming more adopted globally? How do you think that will impact retail investors when it comes to cryptocurrency?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think crypto definitely is going to be more and more important part of the retail investors' portfolio. Crypto assets are known to have a very low correlation with the existing traditional asset classes, and also is inflation resistant. And we started to see a variety of financial products leveraging crypto that is coming to the market. For example, Bitcoin futures and Bitcoin options, and also most recently Bitcoin ETFs. So this is a great move, and we will see more and more retail friendly products that will make crypto much more easily accessible. So I think in order for retail investors to continue protecting and growing their assets, I think it's really important for them to have a crypto literacy, learning about this new asset class and being educated about it. So yeah, I'm really optimistic and very excited about this aspect of crypto coming to retail investors' portfolios. That's already happening among millennials, but then I think it will become much more mainstream going forward.
Well, I was going to ask, I know millennials are definitely, accepting and adopting cryptocurrency more openly than, say, someone who is older, more, in their years. What do you say to those that might be very much against cryptocurrency in kind of adapting it into, someone's financials? What would you say to them, or what kind of?
Yeah,
it's a tough question. I know. I'm sorry.
I think some people still see it as a extremely speculative asset class with no utility, but that's really not true. And we are definitely seeing a lot of use cases of real tangible utility. So I think so those skeptics, once they understand how crypto is making a real impact on people's lives, I think there will be a definitely better understanding about this asset class. And really this industry's growth is driven by real utility and real use case. Mm-hmm. So as the market continues to expand, we can see more and more, new use cases and, real tangible use case that people can relate to.
So as a lover of technology, you're clearly very passionate in your field. You actually, in addition to working at Ripple, you're an adjunct professor at Kyoto University. Mm-hmm. What does that role entail?
Yeah, so as an adjunct professor at Kyoto University, I do a number of things. First, I helped Kyoto University launch their blockchain research center, which really focuses on solving sustainability issues using blockchain technology. So, it's been a great experience, and it's a great venue to drive industry academia collaboration that's I'm super passionate about. I also participate in a research project. For example, a project to build energy management system using XRP ledger. That's one of the major public blockchain ledgers that exists out there. And then also we organize the international blockchain conference by inviting researchers from across the world. And also from time to time, I conduct lectures on blockchain technology for students. And I'm really passionate about developing the blockchain talent for the future because we need more people, more talent, smart students and young talent to come into this industry early on so that we can really spur the growth of this industry.
I think you won't have a problem with that soon. More and more of the younger generation is definitely interested in it. And, like you, I can't wait to see kind of what it looks like from now. I mean, we've jumped so much, right? Since for how many years already into now, what's the next 20 years going to look like? It's going to be so interesting to see. So Emi, I'm so much enjoying our conversation, but before we wrap this up, because I know you're extremely busy, I have to ask, and I ask this to everybody, who inspires you and why?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think somebody really inspires me is a co-founder of Ripple, Chris Larsen. He's a serial entrepreneur. This is actually the third time he launched his company. Previously, he launched Elon and Prosper, and this time Ripple. But the theme in his kind of entrepreneurship is really about democratization of finance. And he initially, when he decided to launch Ripple, this concept of internet value was really the driving force. And he's really a visionary person and has been, involving a lot of stakeholders around the world to really make his vision a reality. But in person, he's such a modest person and very friendly and a kind person. So yeah, I'm just, I can literally see he has a huge passion and this drive to make things happen. So having the opportunity to work with him, has been such a pleasure and feel like it's a huge privilege. So yeah, I really admire him.
Oh, that's awesome. One more question if I can. What's next for you, Emi? What are you most looking forward to for the future?
Yeah, I'm just so excited about how this blockchain industry will unfold in the coming years. This year was really about institutional adoption of crypto, and we are seeing a crazy growth. And I think in the coming years, we will start to see more and more new use cases and a lot of mainstream companies coming into the industry. So it's really kind of almost feels like the beginning of the internet boom or even bigger. And just trying to catch up with this industry and keeping up and then doing something really new and tangible is, that's what keeps me going. And, just look forward to having bigger impacts, continue to have a bigger impact in this industry.
Well, I think you're on your way, and being in the forefront is definitely amazing. And I can't wait to see what is going to be coming up from you and Ripple itself. So thank you so much, Emi, for joining me. The conversation was fantastic. And I hope we get to catch up with you again soon.
Yes, I do too. Thank you so much for having me. It was a great conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the CFA Society San Francisco podcast. We hope you enjoyed the engaging discussion. Please stay tuned for more episodes of this podcast featured every fourth Tuesday in our weekly newsletters and through the CFA Society San Francisco podcast channel, available through most major podcast apps.